Through tiny sparks of signs and gestures, the installation attuned the body of the visitor. The organic form of the installation with the gauze transparent and white dresses leads the visitor further into the center of work, from social cultural norms and values and ideals of fertility and infertility to their own experiences. This way, Murakami, on the level of abstraction, addresses a social cultural understanding of pursuits of and loss of fertility. The many layers of anonymous, neutral assembly line dresses exemplifies the understanding of the pursuit of infertility or fertility as strange rational projects, and the body as a commodity. Furthermore, the abstraction displays our powerlessness regarding the biotechnological and bioeconomic powers at play, the organization of contemporary lives. Thus, the form and content at the same time detaches the visitor from other perspectives on fertility and infertility than those discussed in Japan, but also involves the visitor in those discussions. With the transparent assembly line dresses, Murakami draws attention to the fantasy of the transparent as well as transformable body, a body that can be identified, isolated, manipulated, mobilized and recombined, as noted by Nicholas Rose. By adding gravity through the blood-soaked dresses, Murakami makes the invisible visible, anchoring the visitor ontologically, which seems to reflect Rose's notion that we are not becoming less biological but more. At the center of wasted, the natural function state of the body is put forward, its inability or ability to produce life. Framed by the assembly line dresses, the installation at the same time addresses the commodification of the body, the perception that life is wasted away, a bioeconomic value unexploited. But centering the in or ability to produce life could also function as a concern for dehumanization, a concern of how the body's ability to produce life in Japan is understood and approached. Through the title and abstraction, an atmosphere of belonging is orchestrated, an attunement of ugly feelings that addresses the socio-cultural discussions or non-discussed issues, as pointed out by Cato in Sleep and Faulkner. The aesthetic qualities of the installation in that sense foreground certain imaginings of the world, but also appeals to experience it from a different perspective, nuancing understandings of individuals' valuation of the body in a biotech century. The visitor this way is involved by the installation in the social cultural norms, values and ideals about infertility and fertility, actively engaging them in the paradoxical ways life is understood as both unique and modifiable. The orchestration in ways it not only touches upon how people in Japan attach cultural meanings to their blood, eggs and their embryos. What is enabled through the abstraction is a different connectivity, an involvement facilitated by the spheres of signs and gestures that also appeals to a recognition of the body as a shared condition and evaluation of this joint experience. Thus, through the continuous alteration between objective and subjective features of the installation, an unstable narrative, the effectively disoriented and confused visitor is forced into motion. By the unknown and unfamiliar space, they are forced to address the ambiguousness of their experience, the conditions of the life world. Ugly feelings, fear of exclusion, envy, irritation of not being understood, and paranoia of being a small subject in a total system, elicited by the engagement with the installation, creates an ironic distance to the life conditions of the biotech century. The aim of this ironic distance is not to encourage political resistance, but to address the suspension of redemption as a condition of contemporary life, the cruel optimism characterizing the way individuals pursue the good life. In other words, how these feelings fuel the aestheticization of everyday life. In terms of the German-British sociologist Norbert Elias, aspects of involvement and detachment may clash quote, may clash and struggle for dominance or compromise and form alloys of many different shades and kinds. However varied is the relation between the two which sets people's course, unquote. In the same manner, the atmosphere of wasted sets people's course in relation to the many facets of belonging in the biotech century. Following Böhme, the atmosphere of wasted reveals the centrality of effect in the process of perception as catalysts for conscience of a shared being in the world endowed on a particular level, the fragmented body embryos, as on a universal level, a general being relation, the body as a shared condition. The atmosphere of belonging wasted reveals the significance of the body and emotions in the circulation of symbols and imaginative appeals in an era mostly understood as individualistic oriented and contentious. The Vlogs of Peter and Sylvia. Opposed to wasted, tuned spaces, atmospheres in play in the vlog of Sylvia and Peter seem at first glance more informational and cognitive than aesthetic effective. Hence the storyline structure of thoughts of being reproductively challenged, preliminary thoughts on hormone injections, examinations and scans in fertility clinics, agriculture procedures, embryo transfers, the 2-week wake and the results of their treatments is orchestrated in order to address a belonging along the lines of Rose's argument about biosocialities, a somatic orientation. The specificity of attunement by referencing the biotechnological and biomedical perception of the body as an object, which can be transformed into a series of distinct discrete objects to be isolated, stored, accumulated, and replaced, they inform other couples struggling with the ability to conceive, searching for, as noted by Calianta, Nilene Farquhar, and Rosa, emotional relatedness and support. In Vlog IVF 14, Our Experienced Embryo Transfer, Sylvia and Peter convey their ugly feelings of being a small subject in a system of assisted reproduction, and irritation of not being understood in discussions in relation to the ontological valuation of embryos, which converge with Japanese debates as noted by Kato and Slibun Forum. Ugly feelings in this regard play a crucial role in the orchestration of atmospheres of belonging to a specific experience community, individuals undergoing in vitro fertilization. But addressing ugly feelings also spurred to a critical involvement in how they, in their pursuit of fertility, are subjected to the biotechnological and medical perception of the body as an object. The aestheticization of the body in terms of optimization echo a contemporary social-cultural tendency to orchestrate life. Hence, the attunement is not limited to others trying to conceive, but express a notion of a general shared life condition. Extending the experiences with life into vlogs on YouTube seem to underline aspects of the fertility project as a matter of self-realization, a pursuit of an individual one and even passion for kinship. The orchestration of ugly feelings and reflection on their position in the system of assisted reproduction in this regard not only involves the viewer, but also Sylvia and Peter themselves, reflecting their struggle with their fertility project in relation to social cultural concerns over the ways fertility is pursued. In IVF 11, Our Experienced Agritrial, making a baby is expressed as uncomplicated, quick and smooth, as Sylvia in the car outside the fertility clinic just before having an embryo transfer says. So, quote, "So this film is so that we can show our kids how to make a baby. We're gonna make a baby now," unquote. This normalization of IVF as a new natural way of making a baby echo Evil's notion that nature, the fertile body, no longer serves as a sacred activity. Thus, in IVF 14, Our Experienced Embryo Transfer, the fragmentary aspect is also at stake as Sylvia and Peter's experience is expressed through complicated medical terms, and a picture of a petri dish showing their babies, exemplifying an understanding of the body and life in terms of reproduction technology. The former statement, on the other hand, illustrates a reflection on the sensational experience of going in order to optimize the body's ability to conceive, whereby expressing an involvement in the consequences of the optimization of the body in terms of the recognizable features the statement contains. What Sylvia reveals is an awareness of the potential uncanny and unfamiliar features of optimization by way of egg retrieval procedures. Consequently, it is not the optimization words commented, but the fact that they are on their way in to make a baby, something quite familiar. The seamless customization of the fertile body is countered in the vlogs of Sylvia and Peter by close visual encounters of the couple in emotional distress and pain, her swollen and bruised body during and after hormone injections, egg retrieval procedures, and embryo transfers. Although the valuation of the body expressed in the vlogs seemingly reflect a distinctly idiosyncratic experience project, the aesthetic effective orchestration of not just experiences involving clinical surroundings, but also everyday life, appeal for recognition through familiar spaces and places.